Mayor Robert Odekirk presiding. We have Reverend David Jasper, Ridgewood Baptist Church, Hillcrest Road, Joliet, Illinois, to give the invocation and to lead us in the pledge.
Lord, gracious Father, we're so thankful for the opportunity of living in a free country. Thank you for our city. Thank you for our mayor. Thank you for the council, for all those who serve with the council, and for the great work that they do for our city. Thank you for the way that you've prospered us. Lord, may we ever be grateful to you. I pray that tonight that you would bless and grant true wisdom. Thank you for those who will be honored tonight. Continue to bless their lives. Thank you for those who will be here to express needs and burdens. And I pray, Lord, you'll give the council great wisdom. And we'll be thankful to you for all that you accomplish. For we ask this in your precious Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Let's pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My bad. What page?
Begin with roll call. Mayor Odekirk.
Here.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Here.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Here.
Councilman Girl.
Here.
Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Here.
Councilman Turk.
Here.
First on the agenda under Mayor is a proclamation proclaiming October 23rd through 31st, 2016 as Red Ribbon Week.
I get stuck in traffic and I go to change clothes and I sandals. Sure, all of them. You had the bag of cookies, didn't you? I was trying to get to you before you left your seat, you know. Good deal. Oh, this is awesome, isn't it? Look at all these, and all these young people too. Oh, this is great. This is great. Well, this is a proclamation from the mayor and the council. So it reads as, whereas the theme of Red Ribbon 2016 is YOLO. You only live once. Be drug-free. Whereas drug and alcohol abuse has a devastating effect not only to the individual, but also to the family and the entire community. Whereas research indicates that young people who avoid the early use of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs are less likely to engage in self-destructive behaviors and actions that place individuals and the community property in harm's way. Whereas Illinois Drug Education Alliance, Chestnut Health Systems, Greater Joliet Alliance for Youth, J, I'm very familiar with that group, Southwest Coalition for Substance Abuse Issues, Lockport Houma Coalition for Substance Abuse Prevention, Will County Coalition for Substance Abuse Prevention, First Assembly of God, and Roger W. Powell's Children's Committee are promoting the Red Ribbon Campaign throughout the state to raise awareness and constantly remind us of the dangers of illegal drugs. Whereas 2016 observance of the Red Ribbon Week provides residents of the Joliet an opportunity to demonstrate their commitment to healthy, drug-free lifestyles by actively participating in YOLO, Be Drug Free. Now therefore, I, Robert Odekirk, the mayor of the city of Joliet, Illinois, on behalf of the city council, do hereby proclaim October 23rd through the 31st, 2016 as Red Ribbon Week throughout the city of Joliet, and encourage all citizens to work together to make our community a healthy, safe place to live. Congratulations, you guys.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to give a great thank you to Mayor Odekirk and the entire council. Thank you so much for recognizing Red Ribbon Week. We do appreciate that. I am honored to know that a city, this city, Joliet, and the entire Will County shows their commitment to a drug-free lifestyle through the symbol of red ribbons. These red ribbons should be displayed all over because we know that we are living healthy lifestyles when we don't do drugs. Red Ribbon Campaign was started way back in 1985. And the reason it was started because with some terrible drug trafficking, and because of that, in Mexico City, a DEA agent was murdered. I mean, badly murdered. His name was Kiki Camarillo, and because of that, he busted those cartels too. He did a great job. But because of that, we honor him, and we stand here drug-free, knowing that Red Ribbon is the symbol to show that we are drug-free. And again, I just want to say thank you to the council, to Mayor, for just graciously being there and supporting us every year after year. This is an honor. Thank you so much. And we all have gifts for you, and as well as the people that are all here. Guys, you want to do your jobs? Pass out the gifts. And can we also get a picture with you, Mayor?
Thank you. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
so much.
Thank you so much for this proclamation. This is proof that Joliet wants to
Thank you
be
so
a
much.
drug-free community, especially for our youth.
Why don't you
Thank you.
stand up behind? Thank you. We'll just stay here. Oh, thank you very much.
I'm just making sure.
These are the ones I'm struggling with tonight.
I think, yeah.
Group.
Want us to stay back here? Okay.
Wait for your picture, sorry.
Okay, guys, put ourselves together.
With the mayor up front.
Okay, got it.
I know food.
Squish it.
Sorry, I was helping.
I'm afraid.
Just get your back and ease on the anchor.
Hey, Joe.
No, we're not done, we're not done.
Uh-oh. I said no, but don't move. But don't move.
All right.
Okay, good deal. What?
Oh, no.
The kids are like, oh,
It moved.
uh-oh. What happened, baby?
It moved.
Oh, can you read it?
Hey, Brooke,
Yes,
are you doing a proclamation?
I am.
Don't be nervous. Everybody will all be listening very carefully.
Next is a proclamation proclaiming October 24th, 2016 as United Nations Day.
What an honor to have my first proclamation be for something this wonderful. Whereas the world continues to seek the road of peace and international cooperation through the United Nations. Whereas the United Nations is a unique organization of independent countries that have voluntarily joined together to work for world peace and economic and social progress, and is the foremost organization in the world working for women's rights and the advancement of women. Whereas United States support of leadership in the United Nations is essential to successfully achieving the goals and objectives of the world organizations. Whereas all citizens of the United States and throughout the world are encouraged to observe the birthday of the United Nations on October 24th, 2016. Now, therefore, I, Robert Odekirk, Mayor of the City of Joliet, Illinois, on behalf of the city, on behalf of the Joliet City Council, do hereby proclaim October 24th, 2016 as United Nations Day in the City of Joliet, Illinois, in recognition of the commitment of the United Nations, Zonta International, and the Zonta Club of Joliet to the advancement of the status of women internationally, nationally, and in the Joliet area.
My colleagues and I from the Joliet Zonta Club are so happy to be here again tonight. And we're looking forward to next Monday being the United Nations Day for 2016. This has been celebrated since 1948. The United Nations message is basically one of peace, development, and human rights. And so this year, there will be a lighting up in blue of some major landmarks and buildings throughout the world. And so keep it in mind next Monday if you see perhaps the Eiffel Tower or some other large monument lit up in blue. That is the color of the United Nations. As you mentioned, Zonta's special focus is for the advancement of the status of women and girls, internationally, nationally, and in the Joliet area. As a couple of days ago you saw Take Back the Night, maybe you caught that on the front page of the Joliet Herald today, which was so important in dealing with preventing violence against women. From the international perspective, because this is a UN day, I just wanted to mention a little bit about Zonta International's activities throughout the world. What we do is we partner with UN agencies such as UNICEF, I'm sure you're familiar with UNICEF, UNFPA, Fund for Population Activities, and others. Right now we have activities in Liberia, Niger, Madagascar, Nepal, and also Afghanistan. So internationally, the Zonta Club is working through many places throughout the world. These largely pertain to education and health. We have a new project in Nepal which deals with eliminating human trafficking of women and girls. So each country has a specific project. $3 million has been collected from Zonta for activities in Liberia, $1 million in Niger, $1 million in Madagascar. So there is a large international effort on our part, working with the UN, and we are also pleased to be here today. I know you have a lot on the agenda, so I won't go on, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Mayor Odekirk, appointments.
None.
None this evening. Citizens to be heard on agenda items. Is there anyone present that would like to speak on an agenda item this evening? Seeing none, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written with the following changes? Move- yep.
Chrissy. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, sir.
Yes.
You have to approach the microphone, please. Name and
To
age.
be heard, my name's Michael Davis. I live at 206 McGrath.
Thank you.
I'm here in reference to this inquiry about the special service area.
Mayor, I believe those comments will be addressed during the public hearing.
There's going to be a public hearing on that issue in a couple minutes. We can address it then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Under approval of agenda, is there a motion to approve the agenda as written with the following changes? Move Council Memo 505-16, approving an intergovernmental agreement with Will County for electronics recycling from award of contracts to under resolutions, and remove Council Memo 506-16, renewal of group health, dental, vision, and life insurance programs.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Grohl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council committee reports. CTIS committee report.
Okay, the CTIS committee met on October 11th at 8:30 in the morning, comprised of Pat Mudrin and unfortunately Councilman Gavin, who's absent, unable to attend, and some staff. We discussed the network refresh capital, and I'll give you a brief cliff notes here, and then our director, David Branner, is going to come up and close it up for me. So in the current state, our overall network is beyond its useful life, and the network refresh has been on hold due to fiber initiative. The availability is significantly below acceptable standards, and both public safety and emergency services are being adversely impacted. We need a security audit, but existing environment needs to be upgraded first. And there's future business requirements, expanded ERP solution, uniform camera system, virtual reality training, expand our fixed camera security, video conferencing training, and all these must be utilized in order to secure the network. So the recommended solutions that we came up with were phase 1, 2, and 3. Phase 1 will replace the devices that impact availability. It'll upgrade the wireless network main distribution ring. It'll update connections to downtown buildings and security cameras. It'll replace obsolete routers and upgrade over half of our network switches. Phase 2 and 3 will come later, upgrade the remainder of network switches, enhance infrastructure security, and improve network management. And phases will be based on security requirements and network replacement priorities. The roadmap and timing, phase 1 would be completed by the second quarter of 2017 calendar year. Phase 2 by the first quarter of the 2018 calendar year, and phase 3 will complete in 2018 calendar year. So now I will save the best part for David Branner, because without him and his suggestions, he saved us so much money, so I'm going to save that glory for him. David, take it away.
Mayor, Council. I think Councilman Coleman summarized it the best. Is this is basically a refresh, and it's going to take several years to knock this out. This is a departure from our original plan, which was to go with fiber citywide. And at the end of the day, the biggest reason for the shift is probably a shift in technology over time. So as we reevaluated the expense and the capital that we were going to outlay, and we looked at other things within the city that we need to work on, it made sense to step back and try to figure out how to optimize our capital the best. And basically, that's going to be done in several phases. The whole project is going to take about $2 million in capital. We had about $800K allocated towards additional fiber runs in this year's budget. What we're going to do is we're going to shift that, just got out of finance committee and talked to them about this, to do the network refresh phase 1, start that with that $800K of capital, and then finish the remaining next year, 2017, as far as the spend, and then the actual implementation to roll into 18. We got about 8 to 10 years out of our current network. That's pretty darn good. In fact, that's way longer than average. We expect to get about the same out of this network refresh. The good news is we're going to see our bandwidth increase a lot. We are going to see our uptime increase a lot. We've had some downtime on a lot of our locations, and that's impacted productivity. It's impacted public safety. So this is something that's both necessary, but also is going to be welcome, because it's going to allow us to put a foundation in place that's going to allow us to implement technologies that are going to make people work smarter and work more efficiently. So I'm excited about the project, and I think it's a long time coming. Do you guys have any questions? Okay, great.
So originally, we were doing all this fiber laying, it was like a $10 million project. Now he's gotten it down to $2.1 million.
Correct, and there's a lot of complexities with that, with maintenance and where things are going. What this project is going to be doing is it's going to be utilizing a lot of fixed wireless, along with using some existing carriers that are in here in the area. When you lay fiber, you're kind of landlocked to where you lay it. This allows us to be nimble in the future. So if we want to move locations around, we can move these wireless fixed access points around. So it's a more flexible design, and it costs a heck of a lot less.
David, good
Yes.
job. Way to come in with a bang.
It's been a blast. Actually, I'm really enjoying the city. Joliet's a cool place. It's far exceeded my expectations. Council's been very supportive. So is the rest of the staff and the citizens I've met. It's awesome. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So the committee ended up being sent it to finance, which they got their report today, and then when that's settled, then we'll probably bring it back to the council for a vote. But I just want to say, I want to thank the city manager for hiring David. He came in with a new set of eyes, came up with new ideas, and like I said, saved us a whole lot of money. Staff's excited working with him, and it's just a pleasure to be on this committee. So thank you, David.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
That concludes my report.
Thank you.
Finance Committee report.
Your Honor, the Finance Committee comprised of Councilman Grohl, Councilman Mudron, and myself. Met at 5:30 this evening to discuss the following items. As the city clerk mentioned, we did ask to table the renewal of the group health, dental, vision, and life insurance programs. We've asked our consultant, our administrator, and staff to come back with some more information to look at, and we'll discuss it at the November finance meeting. We heard the in-depth presentation that the CTIS committee heard that Dave just summarized of network refresh discussion. Also reviewed the monthly finance report, personnel summary, travel expense, and in-depth voices paid report. Found them all to be in order and recommend their approval. I don't know if I mentioned or not at the beginning, also Councilman Hugg and Councilman Morris stopped in to the finance meeting. And John, anything else?
No, I think we covered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing, there was some conversation that Waste Management has a proposal to Mr. Hock and the staff to lower their cost, our cost, considerably for 2017, which would be offsetting some of the increases that have come on, and I'd like to have Mr. Hock as well as the staff negotiate as diligently as they can with Waste Management and bring it to council for a vote.
I thought that's been discussed in executive session.
It was talked about again at the Finance Committee meeting.
I don't know if that was the will of council.
I'll have.
Public Service Committee report.
The Public Service Committee met yesterday, October 17, 2016, right over here in the ante room. In attendance were the committee members, which include new council member, and we talked about, didn't we? Should we go with Brooke or just, Councilman Brooke? Councilman Hernandez Brewer, as well as Councilwoman Gavin and myself, and an array of staff from both public service, public utilities and public works. Nothing to report, housekeeping for the most part. I'm not, except for 2 items, and I'm not going to go at length about it. Just a reminder that what looks like if this council were to approve based on our unanimous recommendation, we will have an electronics disposal program that people have been asking for. We went over it yesterday very thoroughly with the county representative that came here. I believe that should it be approved, Jim, it will be on the website. We'll probably put it in our quarterly net letters. We'll put it on the water bill to let people know. But it will be the second and last Tuesday of every month, should it be approved, at the parking lot, downtown county building, which is, which side of the?
Marion.
Is it Marion and Ottawa, they said?
Yes.
Okay. All that information will ultimately, once it's approved, if it's approved, be on the city website. Then, good news for everybody who's following the bridge, which is going to have a huge positive impact. Unanimously approved for recommendation to move forward to the full council to go from the MUA to an actual agreement, so that MOU, I'm sorry, ABC, to an actual agreement which will allow the state to release the $2.1 million we need to do the phase 1 engineering, the final engineering. So I'm sure you're aware of that already, Mayor, but yeah. $21 million. No, they're going to release the $2.1 million to us for the
study?
Right, for the engineering, right. And then once we finish the engineering, the rest comes to pay for the project. So that was, to me, was pretty exciting that we're moving forward on that. And other than that, we just had bills to pay and contracts to award. Everything seemed to be completely copacetic and was approved. No discussions on any of the items needed to be relayed to you folks, and that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you.
I have a question, Mayor.
Yes.
Either Mr. Hawk or Larry, did we ever get a final date when CenterPoint's going to start this project? Because we're approving all these things, but we really haven't heard when they're going to come in and start.
No, I don't have a start date. However, the state will not allow us to award the contract until the bridge has started construction. So we are going to proceed with selecting a firm and doing the engineering and going to bid, but the state won't allow us to award that bid till they've got the bridge under construction.
Well, are they still on board with this?
Is the state?
CenterPoint?
No, CenterPoint.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, the reason I'm asking, we're having this meeting with the neighbors on the 25th, and I don't know if anyone's reached out to them yet, but they just keep feeling shoved aside, and I've been on this for months. We really need to reach out to the neighbors and take care of those folks that live along that road there, because they're living, it's terrible right now with all the truck traffic. The signs did help, but as construction goes on, maybe Marty could talk to their attorney and find out what's going on with that.
Well, I believe CenterPoint's been dealing with the township, because it is a township road, and dealing with the neighbors.
No, they're not dealing with the neighbors, I'm sorry, they're not. They need to be talked to, and I would like to have someone from CenterPoint come to the meeting on the 25th that we've set up down there.
I think they're aware of the meeting, yes.
Okay, will they be there?
I don't know.
I would like them there.
CenterPoint is meeting with me tomorrow, so I can address this with
relay
them.
that?
Maybe I'll have some more information on
Okay,
whether
great.
that's the
Thank you.
process.
And just so we don't leave it open-ended to tie up the question you had too, should we spend the $2.1 million and the project, something catastrophic happened and CenterPoint couldn't do the bridge, we owe the state nothing. Just so people know that we're not risking that money. The state's going to pay for the phase 1 for the final engineering, and then we have to wait, as Jim said, until CenterPoint breaks ground, actually awards the contracts and start. If something happened where they decided they couldn't do it there because it was too unstable, whatever, we owe nothing. Then it's just the end of the project, and the city does not risk losing any money.
Okay.
Okay?
The cost change as well.
Right, and we did discuss that at the last meeting, that should there be a cost overrun for the remaining $19.5 million, which had a very generous, remember, we talked about that, very generous contingency. That would all be collected back over time with us getting a cut of the toll. So it's a pretty ironclad, it's a great asset to the city, but a pretty ironclad proposal so far,
Just
too.
checking, because I haven't
Oh,
heard.
definitely. We're spending a lot of money.
Yeah, a lot of money.
I show no other reports. Under consent agenda, approval of minutes. It's recommended the minutes of the pre-council meeting held on October 3rd and the minutes of the regular meeting held on October 4th, 2016 stand approved as recorded. Invoices paid report. It's recommended this report be received and placed on file. Council Memo 488-16, regular payroll for September 2nd through September 15th, 2016, $3,339,281.63. It's recommended said regular payroll be approved. An IMRF disclosure pursuant to Public Act 99-0646 retirement. Is there a motion to approve said consent agenda items?
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under licenses and permit applications, Council Memo 490-16, transfer of a Class E liquor license at 1030 North Hickory Street, Mariscos El Huichol. It's recommended the transfer of the Class E liquor license at 1030 North Hickory be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Mayor?
Yes.
Last night, Councilman Hug asked me to check into some of the parking issues that were of concern, and in doing so, what we found was that there was concern of cars being parked illegally too close to the intersection on the at the corner there. So our traffic engineer will take a look at it, make sure there's appropriate signage. If we need any additional, we'll put it up, and the police department will make sure it's enforced.
Perfect.
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 491-16, issuance of a Class CD liquor license at 468 Collins Street, Carniceria, Rio Grande, number 1. It's recommended the issuance of a Class CD liquor license at 468 Collins Street be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, under public hearings, is a public hearing, Council Memo 493-16, statutory public hearing to discuss proposed time extension and enlargement of the city center special service area. This is a public hearing, so comments are in order at this time.
Is there anyone who'd like to comment on this issue? Come forward, please.
As I said before, my name is Michael Davis. I live at 206 McRobert Street. I'm on permanent disability, so I'm on security, so I'm locked in a fixed budget as far as paying this tax hike. Also, I have some issues with some of the things you have listed on the back of this form, because I feel it don't apply, and when it was applied improperly. About 7 or 8 years ago, City of Joliet came through, tore up McRobert Street, put in new curbs and everything. The curbs are uneven. Sidewalks are slanted. Can't nobody use a wheelchair on the sidewalks. They have to be used in the street. And that's a safety issue. Also, my house is 140 years old. I don't see the beautification of the businesses around me have any effect on my property. And there's a lot of other people that can't afford this 95 cents per $100 assessment because we're on fixed budget, and people move in and out of the area, and we're stuck with the taxes. And a lot of us don't serve us any benefit anyway. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Some of the business people I talk to are extremely opposed to this. I agree with them. I don't think that they should be taxed to provide necessary maintenance for our park, our Jackhammer Stadium. It does nothing for the businesses of Collins Street, South Chicago Street, or Cass Street. And most of the businesses in that area, including those who belong to the Chamber of Commerce or the City Center Partnership, go back to their homes in Homer and Naperville and elsewhere because they don't live in Joliet. I'm out here and I see that and I talk to the business people. Vella's Restaurant has tried to partner with Jackhammers before and has brought zero business to them. He closes at 8 o'clock at night every summer, even when they have baseball games. I don't think that the business people on Collins Street, Cass Street, or South Chicago Street should be paying for the downtown city center projects or any projects for the baseball field. I think that's disgraceful. It's repugnant to even attempt to tax those business people for the downtown businesses or for the baseball stadium repairs. I'm just totally disgusted with that. And I think a huge Hispanic turnout for this next general election will send a message that for the City Center Partnership, the city, the Chamber of Commerce, to quit crapping on my community. We're tired of it, and we're sick of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Sue Pritzbornhofen from the Jacob Henry Mansion Estate. I'm here in regards to it also, and thank you for all the information that you sent over. There was one small thing missing. Part of our estate was not included in it. So I'm here under the consideration, hoping that you will possibly consider adding the rest of our estate, which is the corner of First and Richards. And at that point, I think we're excited. We're looking forward to the improvements and hope to work with you to bring it forward for the city. I have the sheet here with the plat. May I bring it forward to each of you so you can see it?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sue.
Yes, I have.
Thank you.
I think we need the entire project to come forward. Thank you. Any questions regarding it?
Jim or Steve?
Steve?
I know that, I'll let Steve comment. I know that they've been in communication with him earlier today. We've checked with the city attorney regarding amending it, and we can do so at the next meeting to include the property. Steve?
And the reason it wasn't in, when we put together the list, it was in property that had business or industrial zoning. This particular area, even though it is part of the mansion, has residential zoning. So when Sue brought it to my attention today, my first reaction was, boy, it's a unique use. This is certainly something that should be included. So we had discussions with the city attorney, and there's a process by which at the next meeting, the city council could make changes to that border. So I've been working with our corporation council to make that happen. And if the council agrees with that, at the next meeting, it's something you could do.
Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak under the public hearing?
Good evening, Mayor Mike. This is Michael Petrie, Council. I live at 960 Western. Had a few faces, new faces since the last time I stood before you, but I'm the developer of the Rayla building at 20's Cass, downtown, where I converted a commercial building into 10 apartments, and also the developer of 150 North Chicago, where we redeveloped the Unitarian Church building into 18 condos. So I've reviewed this with your staff. I've had a pleasure of working with your staff for years now, and it's always been productive. I think there's just one thing that perhaps wasn't contemplated, and that's residential, as this gentleman mentioned earlier. And there's also an impact to that to the condos. I'm sure you'll hear more about this. I've recently acquired the Barber Building. The Barber Building is at 70 North Chicago Street, and my intention is to redevelop that into approximately 28 apartments. So I know that one of your foremost agenda items is to try to bring residential to downtown Joliet, to revitalize it, and I've been working on that for about 12 years, but I think that within this SSA, perhaps it wasn't contemplated the effect that these tax increases would have on residential, especially the condos. And the condos, just to give you a comparison point with Chicago, dollar per dollar, it's approximately 2.5 to 3 times the taxes for a condo in downtown Joliet versus a condo in downtown Chicago. So if you were to have a condo in downtown Chicago for $200,000, the taxes would be approximately $2,000 to $2,500. Here in Joliet, a $200,000 condo would be taxes of $7,500. So while this SSA increase of about 8% doesn't seem like it's that much, when you're already nearly 3 times higher on a price, I think that there's perhaps could be some dispensation, for residential, and perhaps, for what this gentleman's facing as well. So thank you for taking a few minutes to hear my comments. Is there any questions? Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and council people. I'm Nick Policandriotis, JCM Uniforms. I've been around here my whole life. I was in '75. I was even part of a high school project to see how we could help the downtown. Got involved heavily. So my whole life I've been around. In the old days, we considered downtown from the viaduct to the canal, and it was always that way. My parents and I bought the first store in '79. We never really were put into that, so we were always the outskirts. Yet, we're the entryway. In fact, Cass Street's the second most traveled entryway to the city of Joliet. Ruby Street's number 1. And when they did the improvements, that's good. It was good that we did all these things during the time. And I'm a proponent of trying to make the city better, because obviously for my business and for the city itself, since I've lived in the area my whole life. The 8%, as long as it's done, and I'm seeing that you want to do infrastructure, has to be done in such a way where there's an improvement to these gateways. Albeit the fact that I open up the doors to both of my buildings now, 151 and 218, and we still have the storm sewer and the regular sewer on one unit, which means you smell on certain days very interesting smells. I'm hoping that this is what your intention is, to improve some of these things. We talk about for years, could we have done two-way streets in these areas to help the businesses? I've been told that you can't have that because it's not wide enough. You'd have to lose some parking. But could we take some of the parking, the sidewalks, make them smaller, and try and gain that two-way to get everybody to travel better? I don't know if it's been brought up, if there's going to be more discussion on this or just a vote. I caught on to it a little bit, 3 weeks ago when we had our meeting here. So I don't know where you're headed with this, other than we're just going to do this and improve, and that's it. Can you give me any feel of what's coming down the pike? Are we?
Well, first of all, let me clarify that this is really the start of a 60-day period that's required under the statute. And if 51% of the property owners and 51% of the residents are opposed to the idea, then the council cannot adopt that ordinance and they can't reconsider it for a 2-year period. But this 60-day period is also there for you to provide feedback to staff and your representatives here at the council table for ideas just like you had on how you want to see this money spent. The city will be working with the City Center Partnership Board as well to continue their activities right in the downtown, but the goal is to expand the economic development opportunities up and down Collins Street and Cass Street as well.
So we'll be allowed to come to some of these meetings, or is this going to be an open forum that maybe?
They are always open meetings, and residents and business owners are welcome to attend.
Okay.
And once this, if this is adopted, the City Center Partnership is looking to expand the membership of their board to make sure that they've got representation on the board from those business owners
That are
and
going to be
residents
affected by this.
on Collins and Cass Street.
So how do we find out where these next meetings are? Is it something I can call the city?
Certainly.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your time. I just wanted to get clarification on it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
I would like to add something to what I said earlier,
Step forward.
because he had brought it up.
Excuse me. Go ahead.
Good evening. I just I want to thank the opportunity of the council members as well as the Honorable Mayor Oderkirk and praise the efforts of the administration and staff for aggressively pursuing what I believe was an extension of the conversations that took place several months ago when you brought in a third-party company or firm to assess downtown expansion, downtown efforts. Those comments from that date were not a lot more than just what would pass as an eye test. However, the enthusiasm for efforts such as this is in recognizing the incredible infrastructure that downtown has, in that it's a grid format, and the potential and opportunity with some of the most recent announcements in that you've recruited some serious commercial and retail developments along with education, that we could continue to attract greater businesses. So as much as these next 60 days are important for the community to be engaged, I think it's, I didn't want it to go without saying that this can be very exciting to see an increased presence for commercial opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay, I live right next door to Nick's uniform shop. Our street is so narrow that it's a safety hazard when the vehicles coming off, turn off Cass Street. They don't realize that is a two-way street. A lot of times they come down the middle of the street and the street's not wide enough for two vehicles to pass, SUVs especially. Am I boring you, Mr. Morse?
Why do you think you
Sir,
boring me?
if you have a comment, sir, please.
Okay. The street, when you come off Cass Street, nobody realizes that's a two-way street. And they turn around and turn off Cass Street going down McRoberts, and oftentimes they go down the center of the street. Other vehicles be coming down the street going the opposite direction. Two SUVs can't pass each other without nearly sideswiping each other. So that needs to be fixed.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak under the public hearing?
Okay, good evening, Mayor, City Council, and city staff. I have a business on South Chicago Street, and I think inclusion of South Chicago Street is unnecessary burden on this kind of businesses. First of all, at that kind of location, it's very, very hard to get even a tenant, not a quality tenant where they can sustain all these kind of increases. I really appreciate and admire the effort of beautification, but the length of the taxation, almost about 10 years, and the amount, both are unsustainable at this time. The taxes already are enough, that we can't really stay in compliance with the city requirements. Even at present, we have a tenant who is complaining, just fake, not following the lease, and then going through the city, taking, hiding behind the city, and the city is pressuring me for something what I'm not supposed to be doing. So under this kind of quality tenants, pretty low quality tenants, this kind of increases will be pretty burdensome on the businesses. So I just, request you to consider the length of three things. Number one, the inclusion of South Chicago Street. Number two, the amount. And three, the length of the taxation period.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Let the record show the public hearing has been closed. Move on under ordinances. Council Memo 495-16 is an ordinance approving a vacation of a 14 by 103.1 foot portion of an adjacent alley located at 1125 Loretta Street. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hud?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 496-16, a resolution approving the amendment to an annexation agreement located at 10255 Chicago Road, an ordinance approving a preliminary plat of MJW Farms, a minor subdivision, and an ordinance approving a recording plat of MJW Farms, a minor subdivision. It's recommended said resolution and ordinances be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Your Honor?
Yes.
One question. Jim, is there a way, we don't have livestock within the city limits, so this would be making an exception. Is there a way that we could limit this to, say, horses and ponies and not, so it wouldn't turn into a farm or anything? Instead of President?
Well, right now, the ordinance limits the number of horses to 1 per acre. And if you're going to be a public stable, you'd need at least 40 acres. But with the, as far as other farm animals, they have the needed minimum of at least 5 acres there. So they could have, more, the plan, we reached out to find out what the buyer's intention is. And he said he's interested in buying a pony for his daughter and a horse for his wife, and they might have a few chickens, but they're not going to be any kind of production farming of any kind. It's strictly going to be personal. So the fact, and the rest of the property is still going to be farmed, leased out for farming. So if they come back, if a developer comes back and wants to plat out subdivision around this facility, around this farm, anybody who's purchasing would know that it exists there and currently what's allowed there. And they certainly could find out from the city.
So you're saying under their current ordinance,
anybody in the city?
It allows, for this property here though?
Yes.
With the acreage, they can legally have chickens?
Yeah. Yes. Go ahead, Marty.
Okay, so the current annexation agreement permits the owner to use the parcel for production, agriculture, and other related uses, which is actually an undefined term in the original agreement, and the proposed language does tighten it down at least a little bit. So.
Thank you.
Been motion and seconded to approve Council Memo 496-16. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Because it's being designated as agriculture and a farm that's being annexed into the city, that exempts it from like being residential?
It was already annexed in, and it was annexed in with zoning of residential, but the original agreement allowed the owners to continue to agriculture production until the property is developed.
So shouldn't they be changing the zoning?
Zoning to,
Because they're just still going to have agricultural there? It'd be A1 agricultural?
well, what
And R1?
we did in the annexation agreement itself is require when the property is developed for this specific property to connect to the city water and sewer when it does eventually get out there, and as well as the roads and the sidewalks and all the other requirements.
But I see where Councilman Turk is going with this. If it's considered residential, it's annexed in as residential as it is now, and it's allowed to continue as a farm, aren't we setting precedent that, someone that has a couple acres says, oh, this is a farm, I want a horse too, in a residential area?
I don't believe, Kendall, can you clarify this? Am I stating this appropriately? Any parcel of property that's zoned residential that's over an acre could be allowed a horse, as an example.
Yes. The size is an acre. You would need an additional acre for each horse. So this particular property at 5 acres, that limits the amount of horses they can have there. It's not an unusual occurrence where we've annexed property in, particularly out in Kendall County, and the farmsteads are allowed to come into the city and continue farming until such time when there is a subdivision built. So this would not be precedent setting.
It would not be?
It would not be.
Okay. All right. I'll vote aye.
Councilman Turk.
No.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Abstain.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye. Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 497-16 is an ordinance proposing a feasibility study and report with respect to designation of a certain area as a tax increment financing redevelopment project area. Present St. Joseph Medical Center area. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 498-16, an ordinance declaring certain properties as public nuisances. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 499-16A, a resolution approving an annexation agreement, an ordinance approving an annexation, ordinance approving classification to I-1 zoning, and an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow a proposed trucking terminal, 38.406 acres located at the northeast corner of Laraway Road and Route 52 Estes West. We did receive a request from the petitioner to table this item to the November 1st council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to table Council Memo 499-16A regarding Estes West to the November 1st council meeting. Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 499-16B, resolution approving an annexation agreement, an ordinance approving an annexation, and an ordinance approving classification to I-1 zoning, and an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow proposed trucking terminal, 28 acres located near the northeast corner of Laraway Road and Route 52 Estes East, James Gas Trust. We did receive again a request to table this item from the petitioner to the November 1st, 2016 council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to table this to the November 1st meeting. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under resolutions, Council Memo 501-16, a resolution authorizing a CDBG sub-recipient agreement with Catholic Charities Daybreak Center. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Quick question, Mayor? Yes. Jim, how do we choose, I mean, how many applications do we get under the context set out for this particular grant, if you will?
Yes.
That we are basically a pass-through for?
Well,
How do we choose?
Each of the four different organizations that have qualified under CDBG are required to submit applications regarding lead assessment, operation and maintenance plan, and capital plan, and that's evaluated and based on their requests. And I guess my point is that we're doing this today, but that doesn't mean others won't get funding as well.
No, we still have more money
There's
in that.
225,000,
Right.
and this is 51,000.
And it's very specific what this
Right.
can be used for.
We've last night outlined it specifically for an air conditioner in this room, that kind of thing.
Okay, I was just curious. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
The two other organizations you had mentioned, and I'm sorry, I don't know them offhand.
The Harvey Brooks and Spanish Community Center and Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, there were three, okay.
Yes.
Is there a reason that we don't do all of that at the same time? Is there a reason we're approving this one now and we haven't approached the others?
I don't know that I have the specific answer. It may be because Alfredo, maybe you could reply. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we went out to talk to these organizations. We had public hearings on the allocation of these funds. We had a public hearing here. In speaking to organizations that are eligible, I basically would outline for them what they needed to provide. Some of them said, lead report, I don't think we have it. Let me go look for it. And some of these other, I need a comprehensive capital assessment of what your capital needs are. And so they're working on it. Okay. And so they're coming together. At the same time, the HUD CDBG funds are very sort of requirement intensive. And so we're also creating a model for receiving applications and processing them through the approval process. And so this one is the one that's the most the lowest hanging fruit at this point.
Okay. So the others, there's not one that has the has met all the qualifications, and we're just not at this time meeting their needs, right?
Correct. And at the same time, we're talking to other organizations. I met with Easter Seals recently as well about some of their facilities.
Okay.
Just one other thing, Alfredo. You did see the Bears game Sunday, and you're still wearing that tie?
Yeah. it's a U of I tie. It's not a Bears tie.
That's a good answer.
You worked your way out of that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
That's it?
No, please, no.
Thank you.
Go Cubs.
Been motioned and seconded to approve Council Memo 501-16, which is a resolution authorizing a CDBG subrecipient agreement with Catholic Charities Daybreak Center. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Mayor Courtney Suker with Daybreak would like to say a few words.
Sure.
That would be- okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. My name is Courtney Suker. I am the Director of Catholic Charities Daybreak Center, and I would just like to thank the Council for your investment in our property. As you know, we provide emergency shelter to homeless individuals and families in Joliet, and these funds will be put to very good use in terms of providing heating and air conditioning to our facility. We have provided over almost 23,000 nights of emergency shelter in our last fiscal year, as well as over 66,000 meals. As you may know, we also serve as a warming and cooling center for the city in inclement weather, so these funds will be invested to ensure that we have the proper facilities to continue to serve in that capacity and to ensure the safety of residents who do not have access to warm places and cool places in the summer. So this will help to avoid heat or weather-related injuries and possibly deaths as well. So thank you again for your investment in our facility.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
Can I just address real fast?
Yes.
Please know that I was not against Daybreak in any way. I'm very, very much an advocate for, Daybreak and all the other shelters and food pantries and everything. I'm just learning my way, and I didn't want anyone to think I was trying to stop anything from occurring. I want you to know that I'm very happy that we're able to do this for the shelter.
Absolutely not. And if there are any other questions, I'm sorry I stepped away so quickly. I would be happy to answer them for you.
No, I just wanted to make sure I addressed that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next is Council Memo 502-16, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with the State of Illinois Department of Transportation for the Hobart Road roadway improvement project. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 505-16 is a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with Will County for electronics recycling. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Excuse me.
Oh, I'm sorry, should I speak when my turn comes? Is it okay now?
Yeah, go ahead, make a comment.
Yeah, I just have a question, I don't know, Mayor, if it's for Mr. Hawk, but Waste Management did a presentation yesterday as a second option, I guess, which I'm fully going to support this with the county. I think it's an excellent idea, and we definitely need electronics recycling here in the city of Joliet. But there was I guess Waste Management was presenting more of a door-to-door type of pickup, and the representatives from Waste Management had mentioned some type of survey that they typically do within a community, and I didn't know if Waste Management does that survey. I know he said he usually gets a pretty high percentage of people that return them.
I believe they do. They do the survey.
I mean, is that, here again, whatever the mayor and the council decide to do here, but is that something that we at least want to look at, maybe do a survey? We can obviously move forward with this, with the intergovernment with the county, but, possibly, I actually got a couple of calls today on it saying that, that they think that maybe it would be a good idea. I personally think it could be a good idea, but I think if we, had a survey that went out to the community, I don't even know how that would be done, but I'm sure Waste Management has done them before.
Well, let me get some more details on their survey, and I'll share that with you all.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Jim, do I have this correct, that our fee would be $10,000 from now until February? Or until March through February, or?
Well, we We budget $10,000 annually that we give to the county for recycling to be provided to our residents. Last year, they did 2 programs, Recycle Palooza, and it was a huge major drop-off. And because of the logistics and the increased participation of those programs, there were lines all the way out to, out JCC. They couldn't loop them back and forth enough and drop them off in time. So that's why we're changing the program. No, I don't. I believe it's a monthly fee, and you heard the representative say, if at any point we wanted to discontinue, we would stop payment, on that monthly basis. But there's a 90-day clause, and we'd want that because if we decided to go with that at your door program, we'd want to put something out on our city newsletter and get it on our website and get the word out and do media releases to let residents know that we're changing to a different program.
So this program is, I guess, all electronics, where the other plan was pretty much all hazardous materials, including electronics.
Right.
Do we feel, so the other program will come back to us, or we'll look at that as, I think as Councilman Girl mentioned, if we have a survey that we have lots of people with feeling they have waste in their house from paints and other hazardous materials?
Sure. I'll share I'll get the details on the survey, share that with everybody, and you can decide to bring it up at a committee meeting and advise staff on how to proceed.
Yes.
Just so the folks know, if they do in fact get a survey, my problem with this was there's a lot of people that need the service, but there's a lot of people that don't need the service, and they'd have to pay for it anyway. It's another $15 a year, and you keep adding it up, and it gets more and more. So I had asked Mr. Morley if people could just sign up for the program and pay a certain amount of money to get rid of their waste, and he said no. It'd have to be every citizen would have to pay for it. So that's citizens that are on fixed incomes, people that may not be working at the time. Everybody has to pay that extra money to pick up someone else's waste, and I don't think that's right. And that's my opinion. So when that survey goes out, make sure that folks know they can't just sign up. It's going to include every citizen that has to pay that $15 a year.
Just to clarify, we're not talking about the issue tonight. This is not.
No, but I just want, you're talking about putting the survey out there
That's what
before we talk about it?
Councilman Mudger was talking about.
Right, but I want the people to know that when that survey comes, they can't pick and choose. I don't want them to be misled.
But Jim, so we're clear, what we're voting on tonight is not an extra cost to people.
No.
No, right, and that's what makes this a sweet deal for folks.
And to clarify, Mayor, if I might, Jim, it's $540 per event, 2 events a month, about 12,000 will be the total. We've only approved through February with the current fund, so that would answer Councilman Mudrin. And so the comparison that folks were just making, I just did some quick math, so it would be $15 a year per resident with the program that we intend to look into and listen and see the survey. And this program, which comes out of the general fund, would be 9 cents a year per person. So this is a pretty exciting program, the electronics one.
Right.
The county, it comes out to 9 cents per
I agree.
per year.
And we're paying for it, not the citizens.
Well, they're paying for it.
Well, yeah, but it's not added on our garbage and water utility bill. All that.
Motion and seconded to approve Council Memo 505-16, which is a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with Will County for electronics recycling. Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Jim, thank you to you and your staff for bringing this forward. I know we rose, this issue came up a few months ago. We realized Joliet was lagging a little bit behind other communities, so thank you.
Thank you.
Under bids and contracts, award of contracts, Council Memo 504-16, approved the 2016-2017 rock salt purchase contract. Council Memo 506-16 was removed from the agenda. It's recommended Council Memo 504-16 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried. Amendments, change orders, and payments. Council Memo 508-16, approve Amendment Number 1 to the Professional Services Agreement for the Essington Jefferson Interceptor Sewer Project. Council Memo 509-16, approve change order number 4 and Amendment Number 1 for the citywide lift station SCADA project. Council Memo 510-16, approve payment for the emergency sanitary sewer service repair to 1 East Cass Street. It's recommended Council Memos 508 through 510-16 be approved.
So moved.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hernandez Brewer.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. City Manager's report.
Thank you. I just want to remind the council and the public that we are establishing a new police officer eligibility list, and there's another 2 weeks that the city will be accepting applications. All the information is available on our city website, and the process that you have to go through to be eligible is outlined there as well.
Thank you.
New business not for final action or recommendation.
New business.
I have
Nothing, Your Honor.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I would
Public-
just like, oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Did you pass me over? I'm sorry.
It's a small window.
Okay, small window, all right. This will be small, this is a small item, but it's a big item. I'd like to have a land use meeting, Terry, to discuss probably a new ordinance regarding our current firework ordinance, because the fireworks have been getting out of hand lately, and I know it's hard to enforce, but we need to increase that fine so people won't be so apt to those quarter sticks of dynamite. I mean, I know this last 4th of July and Labor Day, my neighborhood was jumping, and I've been getting a lot of complaints about it, so we need to revisit that. That's
Sure.
all.
Yeah, I think I spoke with Kendall. It's already on the agenda. We were just waiting on our third member. I didn't know if it's going to be Ms. Brewer.
Will be, yeah.
Okay, so we were just waiting on
And get a date?
and to get a
Okay,
date.
great.
Right.
Thanks, Terry.
So I guess tomorrow, Kendall, maybe Karen can check with us to see what date works, because I know it's some other issues on the
Right.
land use. Right. Okay, so we good. I didn't just want to take her, so I was waiting on you to tell me. I didn't want Larry, so.
Your Honor, if
Yes.
I might, can we look at having a diversity committee meeting sometime soon? I know we've got a couple of things that we need to pick up, and after our meeting, Your Honor, we can pretty much schedule something.
That's fine.
Great.
Public comments. First, Robert Webb.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You just, okay.
Good evening, Councilman.
Is that what it
There's
is?
2 issues that I wanted to have this council become aware of. It's in reference to the piece that I just distributed to Councilman at Large, Terry, and the mayor. There's a status hearing coming up the 29th of this month before U.S. District Judge Matthew F. Kennelly, 219 South Dearborn, in reference to this matter that involves outside counsel Martin McMahon representing the city. Try to give him something in addition to report in terms of the status of this particular matter, so that way, he can earn that $200 an hour that he's charging the city as serving as outside counsel. So I would like the city to take this under advisement and discuss this during the executive session today, so that way somebody can get in contact with Martin and let him know, what in addition that he has to report to Kennelly on the 29th of this month. The second thing is along Osgood, between Eastern and Sherman Street, there's some construction going on right now. The residents who live in that particular area has brought it to my attention that there's a move to charge additional $300 on their property taxes for the improvement that's being made in that particular area, which they're very much upset about, being that P.T. Farrell has his contract, and you talk about diversity, but P.T. Farrell's work crew does not have any people of African American ethnicity working on that particular project, even though they're in a predominantly African American community. It seems like it's rather strange that you can charge the people, the property owners, $300 increase in taxes for public work projects where the construction crew that's working there doesn't have any of the indigenous natives of that area working on that particular crew, making any of that money that's being made by P.T. Farrell doing this particular work. The third thing I would like to mention before I wrap this up is contrary to what Councilman Lawrence Coolman had to say about the city doesn't have anything to do with what's happening at the courthouse. Via the Freedom of Information Act, I found out the city does have an intergovernmental agreement with the county concerning the $10 million that the city has obligated itself to pay on the courthouse. Again, I brought that issue to this council's attention concerning the discriminatory policy about this administrative order that is aired every morning before the public when people are coming into the courthouse about the restrictions of certain type of equipment being brought into the courthouse by the public. A lot of the members of the local branch of the American Bar Association seem to think that the courthouse is their private clubhouse. And I'm of the opinion that if anybody should pay some money towards the courthouse, it should be those particular attorneys who are charging absorbent high fees to people that are coming in there for services, that the city shouldn't have to pay that $10 million, and if they do pay that $10 million, they should act in their advisory capacity and have that discriminatory policy removed from being implemented against the people, because it is the people's property.
Thank you.
Michael Hare?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I just want to make on the Cass Street Bridge is going to be done. Do you know any information about that?
Is Jim Trisna here?
In the back.
Jim, can you step up?
Yeah, IDOT has last informed us that is that on, guys?
Yes.
Okay. They last informed us that they originally hoped to have the bridge painted and reopened by November 1st. That's not going to happen. They're still working on the paint job, obviously. Their newest goal is to get it reopened by the end of November, weather permitting.
Thank you.
And then I got another question. Last week over on Cass and Chicago Street, I saw them working on over there. Is that IDOT's? Are they doing something over there?
Street repairs at Cass in Chicago.
That's actually Nicor Gas doing their gas main work.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in a public comment? Robert?
Mayor, members of the City Council, as a Housing Authority Commissioner, I just want to say that I've been in this game for 25 years. Over the years, I've advocated with the city very strongly about inclusion of minorities and minority contractors. I want to say that Joliet Housing Authority is doing everything humanly possible to include minority contractors and minorities on the job site of our new development. There were protesters out there who I had never seen before in the last 25 years when I was fighting the cause. But they're doing everything humanly possible. I want to congratulate Mayor Oderkirk and Councilman Morris in particular, who have been having meetings with the Housing Authority staff because they believe in diversity, and they've been working hard to work with our housing staff to ensure that we're following all the statutes and regulations to hire minority contractors. So I want to thank both of you for your participation and for your involvement to increase diversity. And also, Councilman Gavin, she's come to our several meetings, and she's been very involved in working with our staff to ensure that there is proper minority participation. I just want to say I think our staff is doing everything humanly possible to make that happen, and they have my complete support. The other thing I wanted to mention is that, again, there's been some criticism of our local Joliet Police Department, and again, we have one of the most outstanding police departments in the country, not only under the leadership of our chief, but under their union presidents, Mr. Heavener and Mr. DeVito. They work in a very diverse community, and they're outstanding and very professional. So a lot of the criticisms which have been leveled recently are not right. And the community should be proud to have the men and women that we do have serving the Joliet Police Department, because they are very professional and they work in a diverse community and they do the best job that they possibly can. Mayor, members of the council, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak?
Good evening, John Sheridan, Mayor, City Council. Two things. First, I'd like to thank the Liquor Commissioner, City Council, City staff, and JPD for taking care of that parking problem at Hickory and Hutchins. We want that restaurant to have a great business, which they do, and on the weekends it gets to be a problem. But thank you for addressing that. And I'm talking tonight as the president of Cunningham Neighborhood Council. We appreciate that effort. The other thing is, last month at our meeting, a lot of you attended, and Alfredo made a great presentation on our vacant buildings and our blighted homes in our area. And we had asked him to spread some of that money around to our side of town to take care of some of that property. And tonight, you passed a nuisance ordinance to take care of one of the properties. Actually, it's two with the same address. We call it the chicken coop and so on. And more is to come. And so I appreciate that effort and his department for doing a great job getting that on the agenda. And also, it's budget time, folks. And I know his staff is still 20% down. It was probably about 8 months ago when I was meeting with their department. And I've worked with them over the years. So if it's all possible to get an additional help in that area, you've seen his map. We taxed his department pretty good. We looked at all the little pins on the map of our complaints in the area with the trash and the cars or whatever. You've seen his presentation. So if you get him some help, I greatly appreciate that help for him. Third on the agenda, I wasn't going to talk about, but thank you, Councilwoman Quillman and Councilman Morris, for getting that on the agenda on the fireworks. I'll save my discussion for that meeting. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're here. I'm a parent from Vilaseca Josephine Center, and she's the director from the daycare. For 6 months, we've been having issues with the vacant building across the street from the Josephine Center, where they have about 80 children there attending from Monday through Friday. It was an ongoing issue for 6 months where there was people coming in and out of the building, homeless, not very, good people going in and out, especially during the hours that the center's open from 6:30 in the morning till 5 o'clock. There were several calls made in regards to that issue, and finally, about 2 weeks ago, that was resolved. They boarded the building, and we're here to thank you for actually, taking the time to fix that problem. We do have some issues still where there's still ongoing traffic going a little bit across the street. The whole purpose of this is because of the safety of the children, especially in operation hours. So we're here just to say thank you for doing that, but maybe, I don't know what else can be done in regards to the bacon.
The chief of police is here. If you want to talk to him after the meeting, you probably get some police cooperation on that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak under public comment? Next is mayor and council comments.
Brooke?
None.
Thank
you. Yes, I have one announcement, actually. On Saturday, October the 22nd, at the Forest Park on Cutter Avenue, the city has been granted a $25,000 grant for trees from Canadian National. So we are having a tree planting going on. I think in our community there we have planted over 80-some trees. And so in the park, Saturday morning starting at 10 o'clock, the representatives from Canadian National and from America in Bloom will be present for our little ceremony. We'll have some craft things going on for the kids, some pumpkin painting. So bring the kids out, hot chocolate. I'm hoping we have a day like today, but I doubt that. But anyway, come on out, join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. Rita Winwick and Mr. Tabor, for our arborists, will be there. So it's going to be a good time. So come on out if you're not doing anything at 10 o'clock.
Thank you, John. All right.
Just a quick question, Jim Hock. Maybe I didn't receive the memo. I'm out of the loop. If you could introduce the new city attorney you hired. I don't know the man. He's some kind of grizzly guy. Maybe he lived in the Northwest and has come back to civilization. Oh, Marty, it is you. Is there an explanation, Marty?
I don't know if you heard, but the Cubs are in the playoffs this year.
No.
So this is called a playoff beard, and I tell you, I'm not one for shaving, so I might have to get some advice from you because it's really itchy.
My understanding, you're really a Sox fan.
Yeah, that is true. So truth be told, this is actually the wife's playoff beard.
That's all I have, Mayor.
So I'm hoping to bring him some bad luck.
Sox fan over here.
One thing. A week ago today, I was fortunate enough to go to the Exchange Club luncheon that they honored a local fireman of ours that they've been doing for a number of years, and Scott Shear was awarded the Fireman of the Year. So I'd like to congratulate Scott again.
Wow. I grew up a Sox fan, south side of Chicago, but they had their year in 2005, so you got to vote for the Cubs now. Come on, it's their turn. It's their turn, so go Cubs. That's all I have to say.
Mike, I have a number of things, short list here. Jim and Jim Gadati on the budget. I had told the council, and I think some members of the public, that the budget was going to be presented at this meeting. Obviously, it didn't happen. Do we have a timeline of when you expect to roll the budget out this year?
I will defer to our finance director.
Yes, Mayor. I hope to present the city manager's recommended budget November 1st.
Okay. Thank you.
At the next meeting.
I know it was an issue.
I am working furiously to get it ready. Quite frankly, most of my numbers didn't even come in till last Friday. The police and fire pension numbers from the actuaries, the tax numbers, but I have them all now. And every department head here will testify that I am busy these days. But November 1st.
Okay, good, thank you, because that has been an issue the last couple of years, so I'm glad we're getting it out early.
Yes.
Thanks for your efforts, Jim. Number two, last week, the Will County Center of Economic Development had a 35th anniversary celebration at the Rialto Theater. Congratulations to Will County CED and John Grueling. It was a great night. I know some of my colleagues were also present. The Chamber of Commerce had the Boots, Brews, and Barbecue event at the Jacob Henry Mansion, another great event. Thank you to the Chamber for the work they've done all year long. Warren Sharp Community Center had the 25th anniversary reception a week ago. Councilman Morris, I believe you were at that. Yes. Congratulations to Warren Sharp, and thank you for all the work they've done. Again, Councilman Mudger mentioned congratulations to Joliet Fireman Scott Shear, who won the Exchange Club Award for Firefighter of the Year. It's a great honor for Scott, so congratulations to him. This last weekend, on Saturday, at the track, there was a Making Strides Against Cancer Breast Walk. Thank you to the organizers for that and all the Joliet people. A number of local people were out there marching and walking, showing support for survivors of breast cancer. Thank you to them. Sunday afternoon at Ottawa and McDonough Street, I attended. There was an honorary street naming for Father Ray Lesher, Father Ray, who of course has been at Sacred Heart for years, was back in town. It was a great honor for him. And again, thank you to Father Ray and for the community at Sacred Heart for all the work they've done in that neighborhood. Sunday evening, Take Back the Night Vigil and Walk was held at St. John's Lutheran Church on Plainfield Road. Again, I know some of my colleagues were there, Councilman Turk. But thank you to the organizers. That was another great event, successful event. We had 2 ribbon cuttings. A week ago, we had the multimodal train station facility. It was covered, I think, quite well by the Herald News. I think the article talking about when you have the director of IDOT in town with the director of Metro, and they're talking about how they believe this can open up Joliet, and how Joliet is definitely on the front sheet for projects and for money that's coming into the area. I think it was a great honor for our city. And I think, although it's been a long time coming, we all agree that this, we want to see this done years ago. It is moving forward. So we are going to have a new train station, and the multimodal project is going to become a reality. Also last week, Harrah's, at their facility in downtown, had a ribbon cutting for the Cross Street Grill. It's a new grill inside the casino. And I want to thank Harrah's for being such great partners to the city. We all know economically what they've meant for the city, not only with jobs, but with the tax dollars that they've raised and paid into our general fund. So thank you, Harris, for all the good work they've done. And then finally, yesterday at Taft Elementary School, the Illinois Secretary of State, Jesse White was in town. He kicked off an anti-bullying campaign. It was a real honor that he chose a Joliet Public Grammar School to be the first school in the state of Illinois to kick off this campaign. It's going to be a statewide campaign. So thank you to Secretary of State White and to the staff at Taft Elementary School and the students who put on the presentations. It was really a fun afternoon. So thank you. And that's all I have.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.